Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go! Athletes aren't built during the season, they're built here in the off-season, where real progress happens. At the Den Sports Performance and Agility Center, they don't just train, they develop. For athletes ages 13 to 17, they offer team packages and individual group training with up to 5 weekly sessions of your choice of dryland or strength-focused work. Every program blends strength, agility, balance, mobility, speed, and recovery with a focus on durability that most programs overlook. Because showing up on game day means staying strong all season. Every session is coached by a certified speed and strength specialist and focused on long-term athletic success, not quick fixes. Flexible programming, real results. The Den Sports Performance and Agility Center is where serious athletes level up. Book your spot now at thedenyqr.ca. Nathan, thanks for always being cordial, always taking my call. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Always good to talk to you.
Hey, so first question, right out of the gate. I'll ask you about the MOP and everything later. How did you get so fast?
I got unlucky coming out of college. I came out 2020 and didn't have a pro day and didn't they invited less people to the combine, so I wasn't invited to the combine. So I never got to officially show it off. Been always something I'll be working on with our strength coach Tanner Kerr, and attribute a lot of that to him. But it was thankful for the opportunity to be able to put that on tape.
I had Hatcher on the show. He said they talk in the locker room, you're top 3 fastest guy on the team. That's nice to have a white Canadian quarterback being able to run like that.
Yeah, I remember when that conversation came up in the locker room about the fastest guys on our teams, and I've never been considered, so to be in the conversation was quite the honor.
Awesome, man. Hey, so you didn't have a combine, and so I pride myself on being a listener. So basically, you're saying, Ballsy, I was always this fast. I just didn't have a chance to show it off. But you showed it off more this past year in games. Was that a concerted effort on your part to take that part of your game to the next level?
Honestly, no. Like the speed in that aspect of things is always something that I want to be able to have, but not something I want to rely on. I always want to be a passer first, and sometimes things break down. You want to be able to have the ability to extend plays and use your legs when necessary, but nothing. It's always a conceited effort for me to be a passer and stay in the pocket the best I can.
Nathan, in your words, what does confidence mean to you as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's decisiveness is a word that comes to mind. Not second guessing yourself, making decisions, trusting what you see, and trusting the guys around you. I think all those things lead to confidence and lead to a sense of poise in the pocket, and lead to quick decision making, and usually good things come from that as well.
Okay, that question sets the table for this one for me, because before you left for the NFL, that's the Nathan Rourke I thought, okay, that's Nathan Rourke right there. He's confident, he makes decisions. Maybe it was a case of inexperience because you didn't know what you didn't know, right? That first little bit here when you were kind of shooting star. When you came back, I don't know what it was. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Maybe a bit of an NFL hangover. I'm not sure you can dismiss that or not, but you just didn't seem as confident. But am I accurate in saying that confidence is back now?
Yeah, I certainly feel a lot better. To have everything slow down. I think 2024 was a year where the bullets were still definitely flying. From a mental perspective, just being in a situation where it felt like for me every rep could be my last, and I just kind of that tension that brought out, I think, reflected in my play, and to kind of shake that mentality and just kind of get back to being, or I guess getting used to an environment again where, making mistakes isn't going to cost you your job. I think that's really freeing for a player, and there's a lot of freedom in that. And I'm very thankful for the organization with the BC Lions and Buck and Ryan Rigmaiden, allowing me the chance to be able to grow. And once I stepped back into that environment in 2025, I just felt like, feeling like the organization was behind me allowed me to play a little bit more free. And I think that any player would agree that that's an environment you want to be in.
So what's it like to be with Buck Pierce, a guy that's actually played the position at this level and done it pretty well? He never won an MOP, but he was always tough as nails. He made great plays, and obviously an accomplished coach as an OC and cutting his teeth as a head coach. What's it like, though, having the guy that played the position be like right there with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, just to have someone who understands the context of what it takes throughout the week, the demands outside of the game and everything that you're kind of balancing. But obviously, he's someone who I always appreciate coaches who are willing to kind of put their hands off and say, hey, that's an area that I understand as a player. I've been there. I'm not going to overcoach it, and I think that takes a lot of restraint as a coach. You want to have your hands in on everything. And I've played for a lot of coaches who are good coaches in their own right, but who might cross the line into overcoaching sometimes. And I think especially at this level, I appreciate the respect that Buck has for not only me but for other positions on the team, of letting us go out and trusting our process and saying, I'm going to, I understand my role. I understand where I'm going to be. And obviously he brings so many other things from a football perspective, but in terms of his preparation, his joy for the game, the way that he approaches things. But that's one of the things that really jumped off to me, as his experience as a player is his willingness to be able to trust me and trust some of the things that I do and not overcoach things more than he needs to. I think people appreciate that.
With my kid playing with the Bombers now, I kind of get a little inside track on what that organization is like and Mike O'Shea and what he brings to the table. I live in Saskatchewan. Corey Mace obviously is a big factor in what they did this year. How much does a coach rub off on a team? The swagger that he carries, the confidence, how maybe he admits when he's wrong, or like you said, when I'm going to take my foot off the pedal and give it to you, Nathan, and trust that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think obviously it starts with the top guy, the top brass, right? I think whether it's front office, whether it's in the owner, whether it's the president, like all that kind of stuff, all that, then the more you're in front of a team, the more that you're able for that kind of stuff to rub off onto the rest of the locker room. And I do think that there's a distinct role of the locker room to be able to keep each other accountable and for that to come from the players. I think that's equally as important. But I think the messaging and the character and I guess the values of the team are explicitly said by the head coach, and you also as a locker room you can see through that, unless if there's not if it's not coming from a genuine place. So I think when it comes to Buck or some of these other coaches that have had a lot of success, you can see how genuine they are. You can see that they're really about it, and they back it up through action. And then because of that, I think the locker room then follows suit, and it makes it easier to put that kind of action into accountability and to people, the players actually following that out. So I think it starts with their example as the head coach, but then I think it needs to be followed by the locker room. And I think the greatest attribute you can have as a leader is figuring out how to get people to follow you. So the great ones do, and Buck's certainly done that for our locker room.
People that I've talked to within the BC Lions organization, players and just people around the team, say you are maybe a little bit of a different leader. Like they've noticed a difference in your leadership. Now, they haven't really told me what that is, but have you changed your leadership style? Are you a better leader since you've come back now and this is Nathan Rourke's team?
I think before I went to the NFL, I think I was still trying to figure out my voice. Was trying to figure out who, where I fit in that. I was 2022-21. We had a great veteran core, especially on offense, up front and in our receiving core, that it didn't require me to be that vocal of a leader, and in that part of my career, I was quite young and more than willing to just kind of let my actions speak louder than my words. And then I went down and spent some time in some different organizations and was able to watch different leadership styles, watch the Trevor Lawrences, watch the Daniel Jones, was able to spend a little bit of time with Kirk Cousins and trying to figure out, just kind of watching them and trying to figure out their style and picking things from them. That was very valuable for me. And so when I came back, obviously the team had changed a little bit. The dynamic had changed. People had moved on, and I made it a huge point of emphasis, especially in the offseason 2025, of being that vocal leader and not just relying on action, or just setting an example and then hoping guys would follow, but trying to be a little bit more vocal, trying to bring guys around and trying to have fun. And I think that comes out, being a little bit more vocal and stuff like that. So that was something that I tried to do. I think it worked well, and I think it's be important moving forward as well.
You're the MOP of the league. Besides the award, like the actual hardware, what does that mean for you to be the MOP of the Canadian Football League, being a Canadian?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tremendous honor. There's a ton of great players in this league, who are very, very deserving of that honor. And I'm never going to set out at this time of the year looking at 26 and think about wanting to win an individual award. It's always going to be about winning Grey Cups, and it's a tremendous honor, and I understand the reality is that Canadians and Canadian quarterbacks haven't been recipients of that award, and so in that way it means a tremendous amount to me, and it's very special, and I understand it, it's just it's pretty cool, again, with the amount of talent that we have in this team, in this league, and across the many teams in this league, and the history of the league as well, that all those things kind of you kind of revere, and to be able to be a part of that history is pretty cool.
I asked Hatcher this, excuse me, I asked Hatcher this question. Sorry about that. I asked Hatcher this question. I'm going to ask you this question.
Yeah.
Did you lose it, or did the Riders win it?
Well, I have an idea of what he said, so I'm interested to know if our answers are the same. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. I think first of all, offensively, we're kicking ourselves. We still are. We went 2 and out in the last 2 drives. We get a first down there. We give Saskatchewan's offense just a little bit less time to drive the field. They were able to get a field goal and a touchdown in the last 2 drives, in opposed to our two and out. So I think from that, our standpoint as an offense, also we had a penalty, and we had a broken play on one of those plays, a second down, and so we're kicking ourselves as an offense. We want to end games on the field, and not put our defense in those type of situations, with the game on the line, on the road. I think that they certainly made the plays when they needed to, and we didn't. And so that's the way I'll say that. We're offensively, we're pretty hard on ourselves, and we realized that there was an opportunity to win the game regardless of what could have happened. But kudos to them. They made plays when it mattered.
Yeah. That's pretty much what he said. He said he thinks you guys lost the game, but give kudos to the Riders, because given the opportunity, they took advantage of it, which is what they do. In that game, though, and I loved it. I loved it from you. You said, it's our time, when you were in the end zone there. So let's be honest. A lot of guys say, well, I don't listen to much. I don't pay. You obviously paid attention to what Trevor had to say when he was asked about Nathan Rourke. And he said, listen, I like Nathan, but we're not here to talk about Nathan. It's our time. Then I saw you two guys talk before the game, like just a couple clips on social media. Obviously, couldn't hear. Can you, I don't want you to tell me too much, but what was that like? Because you were smiling and he was talking, and I know Trevor's a nice guy. Was he just trying to explain himself to you?
Yeah. I there's no bad blood at all. At the end of the day, we're competitors. I understand where he was coming from, and he was basically explaining that. And then I was laughing because I said he doesn't need to explain it. I know who he is. We've trained together. I know what kind of guy he is, and that's why I'm such a Trevor Harris fan, is kind of the way he carries himself and the success he's had throughout the duration of his career, and was super happy for him that he was able to get a Grey Cup. Obviously, it sucks that they went through us, but happy for him nonetheless. So we were just talking about that, and at the end of the day, yeah, like you said, I'm not someone who's super into the headlines and stuff like that, but that was something that I was channeling to get into the right mentality going into that game. There's a ton of pressure with it being a West Final game. It's cold. It's a very hostile environment. Sometimes you need a little extra something to kind of get you in that right mindset. And I was trying to embrace that, almost villainous, attitude, that mantra. And that was something that I was sticking to. And so it's a moment for me. Obviously didn't age too well because we didn't get it done. But it was something that I kept going back to kind of anchor me to the right mentality that I wanted to be in for that game. And, looking back, obviously some plays that you would have loved to have gone the other way, but, I thought that it worked pretty well for me. So I don't have any regrets in that sense.
I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I do appreciate you taking your time. 2 questions on that, though. Was that a spontaneous thing? Or did you think to yourself, if I ever get in the end zone, I'm doing something like that? I can't imagine. I would think it's just a spontaneous thing where you're in pill country, although because of playoff advertising, it wasn't pill country then. And you're just like, it's our time.
Yeah. No, that was completely spur of the moment. I'm not a guy who wants to premeditate on what I'm going to do in the end zone and stuff like that. That's a completely, again, just trying to be in the moment. My whole thing is, I mean, one of when it comes to stuff like that is I just want to be in the moment. I don't want to be, in the future or in the past. I just want to be where I was in the moment. And that's where I was. I was in a very competitive state. It was an us against the world mentality, and I was trying to be in the moment, and that's what came out.
So it doesn't age well, and I don't care. It's fun. It's great to put yourself out there. It is great. I think the league needs more of that. So kudos to you. But it didn't age well, and we're in an era of social media. Quarterbacking is the most important position in North American sports. That's why the NFL quarterback gets paid the most. That's why the CFL quarterback gets paid the most. But you got to have a thick skin. Do you have a thick skin? Are you developing a thick skin? Or how do you work that with the mentality? Just block out all the stuff? Do you shut your phone off during the season?
Yeah, that's something I do. I do try to get off social media during the season and just try to. It's the good and the bad. I don't want to get too high. I don't want to get too low. I want to stay hungry. And then there's always some negative stuff that you could. That I think even if it doesn't bother you, subconsciously, I think things can affect you. So yeah, I try to get away from that kind of stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you learn pretty quickly when you're around around pro football, pro sports, and you interact with many passionate fans, which the CFL has plenty. You realize that people are always gonna say things, and they're never. No one's really gonna ever know unless you're in the locker room. So I think that's a good thing to keep in mind. I have a great support system that's around me that it keeps me grounded and reminds me of what's truly important. So I try to stick to those things.
Yeah. So you seem like you're a lot more comfortable though. Like you've always been great to me. You've always been great to a lot of people, but you seem more comfortable now. Like with the schedule release, they got you involved there, and you seemed to. It wasn't awkward. It seemed to have fun. I don't know how many takes that was, but I would say not that many talking to you. Okay, you're a good looking guy, but you seem more comfortable being the face of a team, and dare I say, being a face of the league. Like I'll be honest with you. I didn't know what Nathan Rourke we would get last season, just given what we saw the year before. And I did a top 10 Canadians, and I had you at number 4, but I said I wouldn't doubt that he's number 1 again, which you are, and kudos to you. But do you feel more comfortable being a face, doing these things, and just being out there? Because, I like it. I think this is what we need in the league.
Well, I appreciate it, Michael. I think, I mean, at the end of the day, I think, it is part of the job at the end of the day, and it is a privilege to be in that position. As much as it's not my favorite thing, I'm always going to be about ball. I'm always going to be about the process, and but you know, and the media thing is just something you kind of have to do. But full transparency, like there's things worked into my contract that I'm obligated to do,
Mhm.
and that helps our football club to be able to sign better players, and doesn't count towards the cap. You know, I'm able to be paid,
Mhm.
you know, what the market allows, but at the same time, it doesn't affect our cap like it might in other places, and so that is important to me. It's important to me to be for that to be reflected in my contract, and the flip side of that is that there's a lot more media stuff that I'm
Yeah.
obligated to do, and things I'm responsible for to be visible and to be at events and whatnot. And you know, as that's not my favorite thing, it is part of, you know, my job, and allowing us to be able to build as a team. And I don't want to ever handcuff our team, the front office, and so full transparency. That's part of it. And you know, I've learned that it's a lot easier to do those things when you have some fun with it. So certainly been doing my best to enjoy that the best I can.
Well, you know me well. So I said, hand him the MOP as soon as you came out against the rule changes. I'm not going to lie. I said, give the guy the MOP right now, because you said exactly what I've been saying for a long time. Okay. At any point, uh, at any point after that, did you regret saying that? I'll just ask you it that way.
No. I think I would have been nice to be able to be a little bit more succinct. It was certainly a spur of the moment thing. I knew what I wanted to say. I knew I wanted to try to make it a statement, and get people talking about it, which I think I did.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to been able to go point by point and talk exactly about why, you know, some of the you know, some of the frustration I think that I have. But it's not, and that's the reason I wanted to do that, was because, you know, throughout that time, since I said that back, I think it was August or some September maybe, and the amount of people that I've met who have shared that opinion, I want to be able to better represent them, and be able to talk to people about, or I guess let it be known out there in the media space, exactly what those points are. And I just want to be able to, again, back to why I originally said something, was that I have a unique responsibility, I feel, especially as a Canadian in this league, to be able to use my platform to represent those who might not want to speak out. Maybe they're a little bit more
Yeah.
fearful of the repercussions, the blowback, and so that I want to be able to represent those people. So I would have loved to have. Short answer is that I don't regret anything. I don't regret not, you know,
No.
speaking out, or, you know, making an enemy of the commissioner or whatever. But I do wish I would have been able to articulate it a little bit better. But you know, I've had some opportunities after that in media, and people have asked me about it, and I'll continue to talk about it when asked. So we'll see what happens.
Nathan, the easiest pass in a football game is towards the sidelines. That's why generally your check down is the guy out in the flats, because there's less people out there. I've coached amateur football, and when you teach the kids, you know, you run through the line, and then if you can get to the outside, because there's less people in the middle. So where I'm going with this, so much talk about moving the goalposts. I look at Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert's spray charts after the game, and like 75% of the balls are to the sidelines. It's not the middle of the field. Do you really think moving the goalpost to the back is going to open up all these passes over the middle? Because I don't see it in NFL football.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. That was something that I've tried to, you know, communicate to the powers that be, whenever they'll listen. We've never gone through a score zone or red zone day, which is our day three,
Mm-hmm.
and most teams day three. We've never gone into it and tried to game plan to go around the goalpost or use it at all. It's never been something that we've talked about. As you said, the reason that that we're not throwing over the middle is that that's where the most people are, and you want to go and use the space, which is the strength of the CFL,
Mm-hmm.
to and the width of the field, to be able to navigate that. And there's certain pockets that are, based on the coverage that are more advantageous at certain points in the games, but especially in the red zone, down the score zone, they're playing more man coverage, which means that there's
Yep.
going to be a free safety in the middle of the field. The middle of the field isn't going to obviously, all of a sudden be more open because that they're moving the
Yeah.
uprights. I will say that the score zone and the red zone is going to be more compressed, yeah, if they're making it 15 yards instead of 20. You're taking that away, that 5 yards, that those deep corner balls that the CFL is known for, that all of a sudden gets changed. We have less, our end zones are now smaller, so now our red zone packages have to change. We talk about opening it up for offenses. You're compressing that score space, right? So
Well, it doesn't make
it doesn't necessarily make sense to me.
Yeah, and here's one thing. Help me out with this. I see more pooch punts, and because now a 28-yard field goal is a 50-yard field goal. Imagine trotting on to Mosaic Stadium or Princess Auto Stadium, and it goes from 28 to 50. Like, are we trying to get more points or less points? Like, I don't understand that. And one of the great, I was in Ottawa watching the Bombers in Ottawa, and Vavel runs back a kick on a missed field goal, and I'm like, next year that's gone. Like, next year that could be gone, and the year after that it's gone. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and I tried to convey that the special teams returns is something unique to our game and something that's super exciting, and I don't think that they appreciate that as much as I think the rest of the fans and true purists would. I think again we could talk about all this stuff that that makes sense and stuff like that. To me, I hate to be the one put on the tinfoil hat here, but to me it makes it seem like there's something else going on. There's another reason behind all that, because from a football, even just from a common sense standpoint, that the rule changes really don't make sense. So because like you said, there's going to be less. The field goals are now deeper, like our field goal range of where, now, initially, like right now when they haven't changed the goalpost, we're thinking about the 40, the 45, that all changes when you move them back 15 yards, right?
Yeah.
So we have to get closer than the 40 or 45, right?
In your locker room, in your locker room, did it piss a lot of guys off? Because I know in the Bombers locker room, it pissed some guys off, and I talked to other guys and it's like, come on, what are we doing here? This is the CFL game is the secret sauce, man. Why would we just want another Americanized game? And who are we kidding her? That's the other one, Nathan. I just want to, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but nobody's asked them, how is this going to make us more money? And what really is modernizing the game? What do you mean by modernize? I think what you mean is you're Americanizing the game. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, that was one of the things that frustrated me. Just to answer your original question, I think there was a good amount of guys in our league, or in our locker room, sorry, that were upset. And again, one of the things I considered before I went over and I said anything to the media was, am I the only one with this opinion, or is this shared by other people? Because I didn't want to be, I wanted to be the spokesperson rather than just someone who has an opinion and taking advantage of that platform. But yeah, the disconnect, that was something that was frustrating to me. The realizing, coming back after the Grey Cup, I think our commissioner said something like, it never even occurred to us that this would be considered an Americanizing the game. To me, that's a huge just not really understanding the context of what you're doing, and the passion of the CFL fans and the uniqueness of our game and what makes our game unique. The fact that you would consider this modernizing and not even consider it would be Americanizing, just to me, there's a huge disconnect there, and that's something that was definitely frustrating for me.
Okay, ironically enough, I'm going to get a comment on you on the American game, because the NFL playoffs are going on, and you mentioned two names, okay? Let's start with Daniel Jones. He had a great bounce back year with the Colts, got hurt, but I want to comment from you about Phillip Rivers. 44 years old, dad bod. He looked like he's overweight. Okay, listen. I'm a Phillip Rivers, that's my favorite Charger of all time. You can see over my shoulder. I'm a Chargers fan. Okay, I love that guy to death. But to come off the couch, man, just talk about that. What a guy like you? What are you thinking when you're watching this?
Yeah, it was an incredible story. Just an incredible story. Huge buzz, obviously, right, in the NFL, in the football world in general. I think obviously it's a huge testament just to just the depth of his football knowledge, obviously, being out for as long as he was and still got it. Like he wasn't just going and executing the offense and giving it to Jonathan Taylor. He was, going up there doing check with me's, checking the play on the line of scrimmage, like doing all this, playing the game, the way that he was playing it when he left, so kudos to him. And, I think someone, people have said this, and so I just kind of, it's not an original thought, but I'd like to echo it, is that I think it really speaks to where the NFL is in terms of quarterback development. Like the fact that we had to pull somebody off the couch who hasn't played in 5 years, but we've got guys that we just drafted that, we're not comfortable, continuing playing for us, like we're just not at that level. Like I think there's just some room to grow there. There's a lot of guys with a lot of talent down in the NFL, obviously, and through my time there, like you can see that the attention that these draft picks get, you would think that they would be further along. And not to completely call out the Colts organization, I think it's a league wide thing. But just you would love for these guys to be able to have the trust to be able to take the reins and have a young guy lead the team into the playoffs. But obviously they were at that point where they didn't feel like they had a better option.
Yeah, so I don't want any clickbait. I'm not getting you to answer, but that's the first guy. You're the first guy I thought of when I thought that. Like, I love Rivers, but he's 44. How the hell can Nathan Rourke go to 6 teams or whatever the heck it was and not get a chance? Like, Nathan Rourke's a stud. Not saying Phillip Rivers isn't, but Phillip Rivers is coming off the couch. Come on, man. He's 255 pounds and not muscular 255. Like, put Rourke in there. That's where I'm going with it. So they got some problems down there, but you don't have to answer that. Okay, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is starting to get his just due. Trevor's knock is, like, he's athletic, he's got a great arm, he looks like he's a good leader, but he makes that mistake at a bad time, and it's such a tough position to play. But Trevor Lawrence, what leads you to believe that he's, in watching his game, if you have, that he's ready to take a step? Because I'm going to go Jags Seattle in the Super Bowl. That's my Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, I know there would be a lot of West Coast BC Lion and Seattle Seahawk fans who would love that. We got quite a few on this side of the country, but yeah, Trevor, I've been impressed with. I mean, obviously, with the new coach, you can see early in the year, maybe some of those growing pains. We experienced that ourselves here in BC with Buck coming over. You'd love to be able to have training camp and then you're good once the season comes. But I understand, like it takes a couple of weeks, takes some time, but they've really sorted it out here at the end of the year. He's playing his best ball. I mean, I think he was I'm not a fantasy guy, but I think he was the fantasy player of the year just before his resurgence at the end of the year. Their guys are figuring it out. A lot of guys that I played with they're on the team, Parker Washington, Bretton Strange. They're all playing very, very well. Seem to be fitting into the offense. And again, the coaching staff has to learn the players and the personnel as well, right? So they have to learn their strengths, and they're kind of, all learning as they go. And so I think it's oftentimes, more so I think in the NFL, there's more rounds. But in the CFL as well, it's usually the team at the end who's the hottest, who goes and is able to go and win it. So I would not be surprised that the Jags have a deep playoff run coming up here.
I love both leagues, but I love the CFL. And my last thing here, and then I will let you go. It's like I was thinking during this conversation and back to Pill Country when you were doing that, and I was thinking about 3 years from now or 2 years from now. Like, I want Elgersma in the league. I want Rourke and Rourke in the league. Can you imagine Curtis Rourke versus Nathan Rourke in a West final at Mosaic Stadium? Like, you probably don't. Maybe you do, man. Your brother's still trying to catch on in the NFL. He had some injury stuff. I get it. But man, oh man, I'd love to see 3 starting Canadian quarterbacks in the CFL.
I think it would be great for the league. I've been a fan, obviously a huge fan, keeping up with what Curtis is doing, and super excited for his future. Kind of a redshirt year for him with the Niners, but next year I think that it's the sky's the limit for him, and hopefully he's able to be on an active roster. And been following Taylor's career as well, and hoping he gets a chance. He had a great camp in Green Bay. really excited that he got a chance to go from the U Sports right to the NFL. Like that's a testament to his talent. And for us guys who were in the league, we're hoping that both of those guys, they take their time down in the NFL and they don't come up here. Because it's going to be they're very talented, and but at the same time we understand that it'd be awesome for the league. And both of those spots, Winnipeg I believe has Taylor's rights, and obviously Curtis got drafted by the Riders, and both very, very passionate fan bases, would be awesome spots for them. And would think it'd be great for the league. But hopefully, again, hoping that they take their time down there and give me a couple more years.
Well, and I never thought 3 all in the West. Wow. 3 all in the
I know.
West would be crazy. Hey, that would be a dogfight every
Yeah.
week. Awesome. Hey, man,
Yeah.
best of the new year to you. I really appreciate it. And we'll chat down the line. Best of luck all season long, except for when you play the Blue Bombers, okay?
Okay. I appreciate it, Mike. Good to talk to you.
Take care, man. Thanks, man.